Like the meeting? Okay, it's now 6 p.m. On the January 9th meeting, the CDA, please come to order. Will you take roll call, please, Patrick?
Karen Gales.
Here.
Mike Suter.
Here.
Alderman Haas.
Here.
Jerry Motter.
Here.
Wayne Clark is excused and Don Hemer is excused. Alderman Weigel, or former Alderman Weigel, is present, but he's now here in attendance as a citizen. He's not serving on the common council anymore. He was an alderman appointed to the CDA, but he is present. I just wanted the group to know. I don't know who this is. I have to amend him because it's a public meeting.
Yeah, you had one.
No, there's.
Oh, wherever the one is.
All right, we have a quorum, Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Are we on?
Oh, it's being recorded.
Oh, okay. We'll do it later.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is approve the minutes of the November 21st meeting. Is there any?
I move approval.
Second. Is there any additions or corrections? If not, everybody in favor, please say aye.
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 Minutes stand approved. Next item on the agenda.
1 second.
Pardon?
1 second.
Okay.
I gotta share the screen. All right, can the members of the CDA see the
Yes,
PowerPoint?
I can see it.
Okay, we'll go to item 2, annual tax increment financing report. Patrick?
It's just moving on its own here. 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, my paper's on the keyboard. 1 second. The first item we have on tonight agenda is just a report. Oh, I see Don Niemer. On how our TIFs are performing. The TIF is the report was an annual requirement to be provided to the Joint Review Board per state statute, and we provided how all 19 TIFs are, excuse me, 18 TIFs are performing, or actually 19 TIFs. We have, as you see here, a array of ones, and I'm sorry that on the PowerPoint the faces are blocking some of the numbers, but of the new TIFs that have been created that are open, they have added around $10 million of increment, created around 3.3 million or 3,000 jobs. 484 are still projected to be added, so around 3,800 jobs. Overall, the incremental values in these TIFs have went from a base value of around 54, and we're projecting incremental value of 454 million. So we are seeing some positive growth within our open TIFs. Of the closed TIFs, those closed TIFs are, we have a list of them here. TIF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 9. Those TIFs that were closed, they added around $58 million of increment. And based on our records, it showed that they created 1,800 jobs, almost 1,900 jobs within those districts. Of course, this went from a base value in these TIF districts to 13.9 million up to 50. They grew by 58 million for a total value within these closed TIFs of $72.1 million. If you look at all the TIFs, the open TIFs increased by 52 million in 2022. So we're seeing great growth and positive change relative to our TIFs. All members of the CDA received a copy of the TID report that had all the TIF districts and the summaries and the histories of those TIFs, but this map is also included in that report, and it shows the areas where the current and closed TIFs are in our community, so you can kind of see where they are. Generally, they are kind of clustered on our east side, but we do have some throughout the city, and you can see the hashed ones are the ones that are closed. Has anybody had a chance to look at the TIF report and have any questions or anything for staff that we could answer? At this point, then it would be just that the CDA would accept the report as presented,
You don't need a motion, do you need a motion for it?
or just, you can have the CDA just say accept the report and put on file.
Okay, I'll, being the chairman, I'll say the TDA accepts the report and please put it on file.
Then we have item 3, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Put my glasses on again. Brothers accepted a grant for the city of West Dallas for remen planning activities at 5200 Burnham Street, 4-/4/4-7-4-0002/001, former Teledyne site at part of the US EPA community-wide brownfield assessment grant in the amount of $57,000. Patrick?
Mr. Chair, this is a little bit of semantics in a way, but we, as the CDA, received citywide community brownfield assessment grant to provide assessment work to it around the city. And the city is a separate, technically, the way we operate, a separate entity. Therefore, we're granting some of our portion of our grant funds by this proposal to the city to do remediation planning on the former Teledyne site, which is planned to be used as the upcoming DPW facility. And we have to do some planning, meeting with DNR, how to address some of the soil management, etc. And that's all eligible for you to utilizing our EPA grant. And that way it saves, it would save some of the city's taxpayers' money by using those grant funds. Gladly answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions? If not, could I have a
Just as a follow-up, so the grant goes to the city, and then the contractor that's doing the work will be contracted by the city, and that's on the next common council agenda.
I move approval.
is there a second?
Second.
Been moved for approval, second. Any further discussion? If not, everybody in favor, please.
I have to take a roll call.
Oh, wait, excuse me.
Karen Gale,
Aye.
Mike Suter,
Aye.
Don Niemer,
Aye.
Alderman Haas,
Aye.
Jerry Motter.
Aye,
Motion passes.
resolution passes. All right, we'll go to item 4. Discussion on the historic rehabilitation of Longfellow School located at 2211 South 60th Street. Patrick?
Mr. Chairman, before I go into this, can everybody hear me fully and see the screen? Just want to verify.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So on tonight's agenda, I wanted to just bring the CDA up to speed because the CDA is the housing authority. In some cases, we have federal dollars that can be used to support affordable housing or some redevelopment efforts. So therefore, I wanted to bring this to your attention. So the Longfellow School historic rehab is moving along. The school district selected Housing for All as the developer. And that group is working with city staff right now on the rezoning of Longfellow School that will permit the development of the site as a multifamily type of use. That rezoning will be before the Common Council on January 16th. The developer is planning to utilize various housing programs such as the WIDA housing tax credit program. That's to provide different housing of different income levels. I'll get into that a little bit here as we go through the presentation. But if you look at the overall site, it is the Longfellow School existing, as well as the addition that was added. We think around the 50s, and there was another one a little bit later. The idea here is that in order to obtain the historical tax credits, the project would have to preserve the entire school. So the developer is working through that. The proposal includes around 50 units of housing. It's around 20 in the school complex. They are working through what that project would look like. The developer is purchasing the site from the school district for $1.25 million. And there's an estimated taxable value somewhere between 4 and 6. I'm still waiting to get the final numbers on the pro forma. We've seen some early versions. There's another one that's coming. The reason I say that is it depends on the income levels of various units, and those income limits or levels have rental limits per WIDA. So if you're going to have a 30% income unit, that rent is capped at different levels if it's an efficiency, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, etc. So we'll show that here in a minute. And then those, how they structure the number of units in the development, and they do have an outline, a draft, is how they score points when they apply to WIDA, they get tax credits. So that sometimes is always in flux. So right up to the point of trying to figure out what's the highest opportunity for them as a developer to apply to WIDA here at the end of January, and then go to WIDA, and then they award the tax credits then in May. So once those are awarded, then the project moves forward, but it's subject to several steps yet. The goals of the project that were outlined by the school and kind of through our office through the RFP process was to gain taxable value on the site that's assessed 0 today as a public school that was closed. Do historical preservation if possible. Maintain a small play area for the children. Now, late last year, the school district did have a neighborhood meeting and got input from the neighborhood of what they wanted to see happen with Longfellow School. And that was one of the issues that came up, is preserving some play area, etc. And then, it seemed great reuse and something that fits in to the community in terms of the reuse. This is the proposed site plan. You can kind of see the school as it is today. And then the development would include a separate building around 2 stories with multiple different, 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 3 bedroom units within that complex. The developer would propose to retain a play area here on the corner of 61st. And I think that's, help me out, Sean, what is that address to the north?
Grant Street.
All right, thank you. So 61st and Grant, there would be a play area for the children in the neighborhood. How that is managed and installed, etc., that's something that we're working through. So the developer outlined that there would be, let me move the faces here. 1 bedroom units 20, 2 bedroom units 18, 3 bedroom units 13. Usually with these tax credit projects, very similar to what the CDA does with Beloit Road, they hire an outside manager for the complex. The group is exploring the use of Lutheran Social Services as the property manager. They do all the WIDA compliance and fulfill all the requirements necessary to meet the tax credit requirements. They are here in West Allis, that firm. They're in Summit Place. Tax credits would be announced, as I mentioned earlier, in May. The idea here on a timeline would be that this project would start in Q1 of 2025 and be completed by 2026. Here's their capital stack. It's draft. This is what it was in the RFP, so I'm using that. The one thing I wanted to bring to the CDA's attention is that they do represent a gap. They continue to represent that gap, and we continue to negotiate from that perspective. Now, I mentioned earlier when you apply the WIDA tax credits, it's based on county median income. And as a background information, here is the Milwaukee County. This is Milwaukee County's individual and household median household income today, right, for the U.S. Census. And the West Allis one is $33,229, and household income is $53,000. Just wanted to provide that as a background. As I mentioned earlier, and I shared these, I think, before to the CDA, when you apply to WIDA, there's 30% of county median income units, and here are the max rents. And these are the income levels that are required that they have to be at or below in order to qualify for a unit. So these units are workforce housing. So you have to have an income in order to pay the units for the units. So here are the max rents, and here are the income levels. I'm just going to quickly go through these. You can kind of see 50%. Here are the max rents. Here, I just took the income of a single individual divided by typical work hours for the week, year, and then what that works out to be per hour. That's usually like entry-level retail. This is probably is more of your front line and maybe food service or retail, etc. Maybe some early entry-level professional or service positions. Now, this is the draft list of the units or the breakup of the 50 units that the development would have. There are an array of 30%, 40%, etc., but there would be market rate units within the development. You can see here, I think there's 8. There's 6 and 2, 8 units of market rate, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. So as of right now, for scoring purposes, this is the outline of the development. As I mentioned before, this has to go to plan. It went to planning commission for zoning that passed. It's going to come in council at the next meeting for review, etc. One of the nice things about this project is that it fits within the neighborhood. It's not a high density. If anybody wanted to redevelop this site, you know, there's a value assigned to that school of today, 1.2 million. We have another development, the estimate to tear down the school is 1.2 million. So you're going backwards more than anything in order to, and then if you were going to try to make that up, it would require a significant density, as we've seen with some of our other projects, which may not fit well within that context of that neighborhood. That was that. So the developer has represented that there remains, you know, financial gap. As we see in our market rate proposals on various sites, the developers have gaps. If you reduce the rents, there would be even a broader gap. So we are looking at what funding sources could be made available. And just full disclosure, we're looking at TIF number 9. The CDA closed this TIF, or we extended the TIF 1 year in order to use increment to do work such as affordable housing per state statute. So 75% of those funds have to be used to help people who are at 75% or less of the county median income. So that's per state statute. We also have home funds. It's around a $600,000 balance. Now, some of those funds are reserved to do a new house at 6901 West Beloit. We're just waiting for Milwaukee County to foreclose on that property. That's the former Czar's Bar. And then we've also directed the developer to speak with Milwaukee County about, you might have seen some recent headlines that they have affordable housing funds. They're looking to put those funds in the suburbs if possible. And then there's also TIF if necessary. And we did do some projections on what that TIF amount would look like over time. So we're exploring all those things. We have a long way to go, but the developer did represent they would like to get a letter of support from the Housing Authority. So tonight, we do have this in closed session. We can talk a little bit further there, but they're asking if the CDA would provide a letter of support that maybe we're exploring some of these financial programs to help facilitate, you know, attract this development to that site. I'd gladly answer any questions you may have about Longfellow School.
I don't think I have. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
I saw the footprint for this new construction building. Is there any other visuals on it yet? Or
They are working on those.
Okay.
I mean, it's going quickly.
Okay.
We had an early version from the RFP that was very basic. They are addressing that.
So the only thing that's gone to plan commission is the rezoning.
Correct.
The building itself is not gone to plan.
Correct. And then at some future point, if after the zoning, so that they can apply, they have to represent this to WIDA that they have the zoning to be able to apply. They would then have to come back to plan commission with their final designs, etc., or any get approvals for any funding sources that the CDA or the city may provide. There might be a public neighborhood meeting to show more about the project to get everyone comfortable with the proposal. But we fully expect a rendering of that new building. The early version, the architects said they wanted to readjust it. I mean, they put it in the RFP as a filler, but it's not something they want to use yet. And they said they're working on it and should have it this week.
Okay. It's the one we saw at the last meeting.
Yeah, like blue siding and
yeah, it didn't fit in the area.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, then we move to item 4, right? Yeah. 5. Discussion regarding, and I've got to put these glasses on here. Discussion in regards to the redevelopment of the 6400 block West Greenfield Avenue.
Mr. Chair,
Make sure I don't remember.
No, I just wanted to bring the public and everybody informed about this project. So the developer is Jeff Hook, and they are proposing 8 townhomes that are rental, and then an apartment building with a mixed-use building with a small commercial unit on the front along Greenfield, and then 11 apartments. That they were under a 90-day LOI that was approved by the CDA previously. And right before the holidays, they did come in and ask for an extension and provided $5,000 in earnest money for that extension. We had a check-in meeting last week. You can see they have progressed with their renderings. We know that they have met with numerous of financial institutions or banks about the financing of the project, and there's interest. They would like to submit at the end of March to get on April's Plan Commission for the development. So things are progressing. So on tonight's agenda, we have an extension per our LOIs that if they represent that they're doing constructive work, we kind of put them on a clock. We wanted to see effort that they were doing things, not just an LOI for 6 months that there wasn't progress. So there's a check-in point here to extend that LOI for 30 days. We probably will be back, but the idea here is that we keep them on the clock as a developer showing progress on their efforts. Just a little bit, some issues that will come up for discussion. They have to get access to the buildings to be able to do that are the former Crawdaddy's and the former Spotlight Lounge. They might have to do some destructive testing in order to verify. When we bought those buildings, we didn't do a phase 1 or environmental testing, so they would have to go in there and do that testing. That's going to be scheduled here very soon. The other issue that came up in our meeting was the utilities. You can kind of see this bird's nest of poles that are located behind Crawdaddy's. This one here just ends at the end, right by the alley. I don't think there's anything on it, so that one could go away. This one feeds into the alley, so there are services that pass behind these buildings and go into the neighborhood. Usually when we do developments, we ask for these utilities to be buried underground. They estimated right now, just to start the discussion, is $150,000 for 3 poles. So the reason I bring that to your attention is that they're asking, is this something you want to continue? I guess I would like to probably keep that conversation going, to see if that gets fine-tuned, but that's a significant cost for a $7 million project in terms of trying to move those utilities. They will have to provide, of course, utilities to their development, which would require us. Our requirement is that service is buried underground. But this is not just to this area. This affects the neighborhood going south. So it's this pole, and remove this one. But this one, like I said, it's the power going south into the neighborhood. Any thoughts on the utilities over here?
It would certainly be nice to see how far we can go before it would be a deadline that it would be impossible to do it.
Right.
And I know we went around and around with the utilities on Rogers Street.
Correct.
And finally they got them done.
Right. Okay, we'll continue to keep that one going. The other discussion that that's kind of separate from the CDA that we'll have to have the Economic Development Committee of the Common Council and Public Works is this public space on the corner of 64th and Greenfield. So the LOI really covers Crawdaddy's and the spot currently, and we have not done a discussion on the public space yet in the parking lot. But the idea here is that this public space would be transferred to the developer, and then this area would become on 65th Street, lines up more with the farmers market, and our future plans possibly along 65th Street. This public space would be in front of the townhomes. There'd be a fence along here so that there'd be some private access to the townhomes, but this would be public space in front of the development. So we'd have to have that discussion of that, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention that we have a little more work to do on that. We did run a TIF model, and this is a pay-go TIF to the developer. We said that we'd probably look at 20 years or thereabout, and That's around 1.6, $1.7 million over that time when we ran this model. It probably is a little bit to rerun this model here because there's a new mill rate, but we did run a model and we are looking at how that TIF is performing. And we are putting in our development agreement that we have construction savings, developer guarantee, and then IRR, contingent payment to the CDA if they exceed up 15% IRR. We are also having Baker Tilly review any pro forma or numbers relative to this project. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So then we'll go to item 6. So the resolution consider a 30-day extension of a letter of intent with JJH3 Group LLC for the 6400 block of West Greenfield Avenue redevelopment. Can I have a motion to the resolution?
I'd move approval.
A second?
Second.
Been moved for approval and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
I got a roll call.
Oh,
It's a resolution.
okay, excuse me.
Karen Gale,
Aye.
Mike Suter,
Aye.
Don Niemer,
Aye.
Alderman Haas,
Aye.
Gary Monner.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, resolution passes. Item 7, discussion in regards to the redevelopment of the property located on the southwest corner of 92nd Street and West Greenfield Avenue, former St. Aloysius Church. Patrick.
Sean, would you like to present this one?
Yes, thank you. This is we've met with this developer. As you all know, this is a former St. Aloysius property. It's owned by Cardinal Capital Development Group, and met with them a few weeks ago, and they provided us with updated numbers and an updated site plan. As you can see on this slide, their average rents that they show for the site are $2.11 per square foot and cost per unit of $207,000. And the developers has several requests for assistance. And actually the request for assistance has gone down quite a bit from where it was prior. So we were pleased to see that. This is a view of the old site plan, or sort of how the site plan has evolved over time from left to right. The left was the initial, and to the right was sort of the second evolution of the plan. The orangish buildings are multifamily residential market rate, and then the yellow are sort of individual walk-up townhome units. You can see this is the very latest one. You can see there are less townhome units on this. I believe there previously were 18 units, and now there are 9. So what they basically have done is removed the townhome units that were along South 92nd Street. And the rationale for that they provided was that they needed the surface parking to provide enough parking for the multifamily, of which there are 147 multifamily units proposed. So we did look at that. That's one thing we want to keep working with the developer on. We looked at their parking ratios for their multifamily, and their ratios are a bit higher than what we've seen on our last 3 multifamily projects. They're at 1.47 parking stalls per unit. And our last 3 multifamily projects, that includes the one that's under construction by 3 Leaf on 85th and National. Those are more along 1.16 stalls per unit. So there might be still some room left here to work some townhomes back in, but it has to work within the means of the market. The parking is important in these, but we also liked the look. We thought the look of the townhomes along South 92nd just gave it more of a nicer look versus the sort of the large parking lot to the south that you see here.
Hey, Patrick, it's Carson. I just wanted to jump in. I think some of the following slides you might just want to save to discuss further in closed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We'll continue that discussion now in closed session. We just wanted to
All right.
provide everybody an update.
All All right, we'll go to item number 8. Consideration relative to report on redevelopment initiatives. Patrick, you have the floor. If there's any questions, let Patrick know.
I just wanted to provide an update. This one would be under the B, 68th and Mitchell. We continue to work with Baum. I know the CDA is very interested to see the progress on the Kearney and Trecker building. We feel positive. The Baum has not gone away. In fact, things are getting very good. Positive signs. We know that they're working with a new tenant prospect, and they've actually reached out and communicated. So things are progressing. They're working with fire. They submitted their new market tax credit application today. So that's a positive step. So we're working through that and backstop agreement. Sean, am I missing anything? We're just real positive. I mean, it's a positive effort. It's just not soup yet to bring to the CDA, and we want to make sure the next time we bring it back, we're ready to go. Sean, anything that I missed?
You covered it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And then let me see what else we have. We're meeting tomorrow with Land by Label for the Alice Yard site on 70th and Washington. That's on tonight's agenda. The numbers have to get revisited, and then that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
No other questions of the committee in regards to anything? If not, we'll go into closed session. For agenda items 4 to 7, the committee convened in closed session pertinent to provision section 19.85/1/E of the state statutes for the purpose of deliberating, investing of public funds whenever competitive or bargaining reason require a closed session. The committee may convene in open sessions after completion of the closed session to consider the balance of its agenda.